Hi, my name is Gemma. I'm a certified dog trainer, and in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my guide on how to introduce a new harness to your dog, or a harness for the very first time if they've never worn one before. Now, Chase has worn harnesses in the past when he was younger, but he wasn't really a fan of it going over his head, and we have tried canicross, so he has ran with a harness on, but like I say, he's never really been a fan. He doesn't like the motion of it going over his head. And I recently saw that Coco Pup have released an Explore range of harnesses, which have a third buckle. So it can completely open up and it doesn't need to go over the head at all, which is perfect. So I'm going to try this. This is brand new. I'm going to try this on Chase for the very first time. And I'm going to share with you my guide for getting him super comfortable and happy with me putting a new harness on. Okay, so for this, you will obviously need the harness itself, or whatever new piece of equipment that you're looking to introduce. These kind of, the guidance and rules and techniques in this will work the same for anything new, any kind of new lead, collar, anything you need to desensitize the dog to, but it also works great for a harness. And I have a mixture of treats in here. So I have some of Chase's dry food for now, just because I want to do lots of repetitions. I want to make sure that I've got plenty of reinforcers as treats to provide. And then I have some really high value jackpot rewards for when he does a really good job, or as we're progressing through the steps. And I have some dried beef liver and some cheese as well, some just tiny little pieces of cheese. So a real mixture. And what actually increases value of reinforcement even more than just having high value food is in when you kind of mix it in, so it's a surprise and they don't actually know when to predict if they get in the kind of medium value or the super high stuff. That makes the super high value even more of a jackpot. So just a tip there, rather than just getting through all of your high value treats in one go, the dog will kind of just learn to expect and predict. If you mix it up a little bit, then those higher value treats are even more exciting for them when they do get them. Okay, so let's get started. So we have 8 steps here to get your dog desensitized and used to wearing a harness. Now, I would say I'm going to show you all of these steps as long as Chase is happy, kind of after each other. However, I would suggest, if this is the very first time that your dog is wearing a harness, to take things a little bit slower and maybe just spend a session or so on each of these steps and really build up their value and how much they enjoy the harness before you start putting it on and taking them for a walk. Now remember, first impressions are super, super important for a dog. You can't redo the first impressions. So they will learn a response to something new during that first interaction, and then that's really hard and a lot more challenging to overcome if that is a negative experience. So for anybody that's tempted to just throw on a harness and take them straight out for a walk, if in any way that experience made the dog uncomfortable, if they weren't used to the feel of the harness on them, if they found it intimidating or scary when it went over their head, all of those memories, therefore, are harder to overcome, and they've kind of had built a negative association for the harness. Whereas this way, we just take it nice and steady and we make sure that we build up really positive experiences at every stage so that they're super happy wearing this. And in future, when you get this out, the dog should come running and excited to get it on and go for a walk, versus what a lot of dogs do with harnesses, and what Chase did a lot when they used to have to go over his head without the extra buckle, was just run and hide and not be very keen on getting it on at all. So take it steady, but these are my 8 steps to get your dog happy with the harness. Okay, so for step number 1, I have called this show and feed, and it's kind of self-explanatory. So like I say, it's really important that every step of the way we're building a positive association with the harness. So the first very beginning step will be to simply show the harness, click or mark. See how Chase got excited then because he realized that meant it's a good thing, and then we fed and rewarded. So I'm going to hide the harness between each step, and then we're simply going to show, and then we're just going to reward. And all he has to do at this point is just look at or see the harness, and good things happen. And you can see how that's already starting to build a really exciting predictor for Chase, that when the harness comes out, that's something exciting and good is going to happen. So again, I'm going to just show. And I'm just conscious I don't want him to think he needs to mark or touch it at this point, which is why I'm just making sure I mark straight away before he does anything, because I'm not asking him to try and target the harness, which is what he's used to in some of these setups. So the harness comes out. Oh, that's exciting. And we're going to reward. And from there, the next step would just be to get that harness a bit closer. So just so that they can feel it kind of coming towards them, because that is the motion that obviously when we go to put the harness on, we're going to be going towards the dog, and we don't want that bit to be scary or intimidating to them. So this time I'm just going to bring the harness towards him, and I'm just going to mark and reward. And like I say, don't forget, if you are following like I am and using some high value jackpots as well, don't forget to sporadically include a jackpot reward. So this time I'm going to just bring it closer towards him, and then I'm going to jackpot reward with some cheese. And we're just going to bring it closer. Not really asking anything of our dog at this point other than to just stay engaged with us. So if at this point, if they are starting to get a little bit worried or maybe stepping back or looking a bit unsure, then we would not be progressing, and we would be staying at this stage and step one, and just simply getting the harness out, marking and rewarding until they start to build a positive association. Okay, so at this point, I am going to put the harness on for step 3. I'm going to put the harness on. I'm not going to fasten it all the way. So I'm going to open 2 sides of it, and I'm just going to place this on, but not fasten it up, and then click and reward. So we're just going to, I'm going to need the correct hand for this. So we're just going to go, and I'm going to give a jackpot for that. So let me just do it this way, Chase, just so you can see. So like I said, I've opened this completely here. Come here, bud. Wait there. So I'm just going to place it around him, mark and reward. And you can see he didn't flinch then. He was super happy and just focused on his rewards here. So it's open, and I'm just going to click when it goes around him and reward. Super. Right, this time I'm going to actually ditch the clicker, because ironically the harness is going to make that noise for me, because we're going to try and buckle one of the clips. So I'm going to go with the front one first. Now I haven't measured this, so I need to just get a gauge for how tight this is going to be on him. So obviously if it feels too tight, don't clip it all the way at this point. But because this will make a clicking noise, that can act as my marker, and then I can just follow with the reward straight away. So we're just going to put it round, click, and then we're going to reward. Nice. And it didn't look too tight. And that time I'm just going to reward with it on. Ooh. I forgot this one actually, which is also really nice little detail. It has a lock here that if you slide this up and down, it will lock into place, which is a really nice safety feature. Okay, so we're just going to do a couple more of those. So I'm going to put it round. It's going to click, and we're going to reward, and then we're going to take that off. Perfect. Now, it is a little bit big for Chase, which I actually think is better at this stage. Obviously, we're not going for a walk, so I just want it to be nice and easy to wrap around him and to fasten at this point. And then as he gets more comfortable, and obviously before we actually take him for a walk in it, I need to make sure that it fits nice and snug with just those 2 fingers being able to be snugly fit in between. So let's do one more of those. So we're just going to put it round, click, nice. And I'm going to do a jackpot for that one. Okay, so as I say, I'm progressing through these steps fairly quickly. Obviously, what I will be doing with Chase is to repeat lots of these steps and make sure that he's super comfortable over the next few days before we go for any long walks. But what we will be progressing to from there will be to then fasten the second clip as well. So I'm going to need Chase in a stand for this. Stand. Nice. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it round, which he seems super happy with. We're going to click that on. Nice. And I'm going to have to unfasten both of the end ones. So we're going to put that on. We're going to click and reward. And then what I can do is actually put these through his legs, which he seems happy enough with. So I'm going to give him a jackpot there. And then I'm just going to fasten one and reward. And then I'm going to fasten up the other one if it doesn't feel too snug, which it doesn't. So I think they make it nice and loose to begin with. And then we're going to give a jackpot. So you can see it's nice and comfortably on him. He looks so handsome and cute. I will do some close-ups after. But the harness is on there, so I don't want to keep it on for too long at this point. I'm going to unfasten all 3 of those buckles. And we're going to give a nice jackpot reward. Good boy. I'm just going to do that again. Good job. So he seems super happy at this point, but I'm still just going to keep rewarding in between each step just to make this a really nice, comfortable experience for him. And then I'm going to fasten up. So much easier than having to try and get it over his head and squeeze his head through a little small gap. And that looks very cute and comfortable. And we're going to do some more rewards while he's wearing it. Okay, so I'm going to do one more time and then we're going to progress from this step with Chase. Very good. So I'm just going to break him off just so he can kind of come back into the space and reset himself. And you can see he's still, and what I would suggest as well throughout this is to also go back a few steps and make it nice and easy. So you can see now he's comfortably staying in proximity. He's not running away. So he's telling me he's happy. I'm going to show it and I'm going to mark and I'm going to reward some more. And I'm just going to go to step 2 and move it closer. And he's super happy there. So don't always make a progress through every step and make it harder and more challenging each time. Sometimes just give your dog a nice, easy, quick win and go back to some of the easier steps that we started with. Okay, so this time I'm going to put the harness on again. So I'm going to put this around him. It clicks and rewards. It's so good when you have clicker trained your dog, because fastening things like this become a reward marker themselves. So the dog already hears that noise and has a positive association because they're used to getting lots of nice rewards when they hear the clicker. If your dog isn't used to a click, then that would be an extra step to just get them really used to the clicker noise and reward, clicker noise and reward. Okay, so like I say, once your dog is comfortably wearing the harness, now I will adjust this to make sure it fits Chase properly. But in terms of for the training purposes, the next step would be to just have some very steady movements. So I've still got my food and I'm just going to gently lure him round so I can see that he's comfortable moving in both directions. Very nice. Just make sure that they don't seem uncomfortable in any way. The harness should be very comfortable for them to have flexibility and movement in. Good job. And we might even just throw a few pieces of food on the floor and just make sure that he's super happy going and retrieving those and moving around. Sit, stand, good job. Sit, stand, back, stand, good boy. Okay, perfect. Okay, so once we have checked that they are comfortable moving, good job. Then the next step would be to actually clip your lead on and just take them for a walk indoors. So we don't want to be taking them out straight away. So I'm just going to put it on again, nice and easy. Good job. Nice. Good boy. Okay. So I'm going to grab his lead. And this is a 2-clip lead, which I would definitely recommend. So this particular harness, which is something that I looked for as a feature, has a ring out at the top on the back of the harness and at the front as well. So that's nice working for the loose lead walking. So we can kind of help control the front of his body if he starts getting ahead. So you can see that clipped on nice and comfortably. Again, I'm just going to be rewarding at every step of the way. So he's super happy. And then we can just start to walk around indoors. So I'm going to take a couple of my treats and I'm just going to make sure he's happy walking indoors. Come on, good boy. And he's obviously just looking for the treats. Good job. Sit. Nice. Okay, and then at that point you are ready to go outside. So like I say, just make sure that you have adjusted your harness so it fits nice and comfortably, that the dog is super happy and relaxed when you put it on. If they've been for a walk around the house inside and there's no issues there, then you're ready to go outside. Now what I would say is build up nice and steady. So don't put the harness on and for the first time go for a really long walk. I'm going to be building up Chase's tolerance to wearing the harness, because it's something he's not used to really wearing outdoors, like I say, apart from running. So I want to get him super comfortable and do lots of nice drills, keeping him nice and close in proximity to me. Top tip, this is also a great opportunity if you're putting a harness on your dog for the first time. If they do pull when they wear a flat collar on a walk and you're switching to a harness, this is a great opportunity for you to kind of reset your loose lead walking criteria. So if this is something they're not used to wearing, then this is a fresh start. So they're never pulled in a harness before, then we can start doing some nice loose lead walking drills. I will link the videos in the description below, and then you can use those to have a nice reset on getting some really nice clean loose lead walking while they're wearing the harness. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below, and thanks for watching.